The video has officially gotten really panty and out of breathy, but the documentation must go on. We're probably about an hour out.
Let's hope.
And these views, even though it's not blue sky anymore, the views of the glaciers, we just heard an avalanche. I mean, this is the craziest thing you could ever do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Day 7.
The travelers are getting weary. That's like the beginning of like a Civil War poem. Day 7.
We are starting to feel a little weak, a little drained. Not necessarily from the hiking, but just the overall process, like sleeping in negative Celsius temperatures and having toilets that aren't toilets, they're just clogged up with poop. But we are so close to the end that we cannot stop now.
And the one thing before we took this trek that I didn't understand was that base camp, which is today, is not the highest you go. Tomorrow you go even further to a lookout point called Kalapatar, and it is actually the highest point on the trek, and that's where you get the better view of Everest itself. So while today is technically the pinnacle of the trip because it is Everest Base Camp, it isn't the pinnacle of the trek itself.
Right. On the itinerary for day 7, we trek to Everest Base Camp at 5,400 meters, and then we go back to the town of Gorak Shep to sleep. Today, the walk towards Everest is along the Khumbu Glacier. You will reach the small village of Gorak Shep where you will have lunch. After having your lunch, the trail will lead you to the Mount Everest Base Camp at an altitude of 5,400 meters. Everest Base Camp gives you an unforgettable view of Kibutze, Mount Pumori, Changsi, and Khumbu Icefall instead of Mount Everest. You would think that you see Mount Everest when you go to Everest Base Camp, but it's not the case.
Today we might not see anything anyway. We've already been outside. The weather report is still bad. Things change drastically at any time. It could get clear, but for now the forecast is for it to not get clear. It's okay. You know, we've had some really good days. We've seen the peak a couple of times, and as long as we can have a good day at Kalapatar, I'll be happy with our adventure.
Agreed.
The trail is officially ice, and Taylor is the smart one with the poles. This is freaking me out. Just look at that view behind you for a second. Where are we? Yesterday it was a whiteout blizzard, and I was having nightmares all night that we wouldn't get to do anything today because I get nervous about weather all the time.
It rules his life.
And look what we got. Someone answered some prayers today. Prettiest day ever.
So nice.
So I'm not even gonna try and sugarcoat it. This is getting difficult. Oxygen is about, what, Tay, like 50% now?
Maybe 60?
50 or 60%. I'm panting, Tay's panting.
Yeah.
Ongdemdi's never panting.
Ongdemdi's always fine.
But this is the first time that I personally have been winded, and we're not even really climbing yet.
No.
The ground is just completely frozen over, and that's not even a river. It's just frozen craziness. We're gonna go to the dirt. He's just going for it. So this ridge has definitely been the hardest part of the trek so far. We have about an hour and a half left until town. We're gonna make sure that Taylor takes off her backpack because she's having some trouble, and wanna make sure that she's able to make it to base camp today because we have a couple more hours after lunch to get there. So the good news is no headache. It's just tired right now. So even though she's struggling, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
And it's still pretty blue. The way we're headed, we're about to get our first view of base camp. And it's a little cloudy over there, but so far so good. Hang in there, love.
I will.
We just spotted our first ice cavern. Check that out. That is so cool. First sight of base camp, right at the bottom of this little ridge. My camera's not good enough, but there are some tiny little tents right down there. We will be there in a couple hours.
Alright. Today they say you can't see Everest, but we got a tiny little triangle of it right up there.
Wow, it's even hard to see without the camera.
Yeah.
It is right there. There he is, right behind the ridge. That is gorgeous.
Here's a very pessimistic welcome to Gorak Shep. I'm so wiped.
We're grabbing a quick lunch, make sure Tay feels good. And no, I'm not wearing a hat, that is grease. It's been a long day. Oh, this food. And this is a Nepali spring roll. I ordered one the other day and I did not expect to see something like this, but it was pretty good. So, what'd you get?
Vegetable soup.
Okay.
Not carb loading.
Nope. Okay, we made it to our guest house. Our guide has been a little challenging today just because he's been watching Taylor the last few days and knows that she's a little slower than the average, but didn't account for that this morning. So as we were walking up, he told her that she was being really slow and that we were gonna have to skip lunch completely and go straight to base camp. She's already low on energy, and I mean, she could not have made it without food. So we kind of ignored that comment, rushed here, got food, and now we have to rush to base camp in order to make it there before it gets super windy and possibly snowy. But I just don't like that we have to rush today. That's been kind of unpleasant.
It's been really unpleasant, and I don't know the difference, but I woke up feeling like I had zero energy. Today is so difficult for me, and I don't know if it's the elevation or like just the lack of nutrients over the past 7 days, but my body is like, help.
And people around us are starting to get a little weary as well. People are not having as much fun as they were having a couple of days ago. I don't blame them. This is hard work, but it's also even harder when someone's pushing you along when it's just past Taylor's limits.
Yeah, he told me I was going too slow today, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Okay, there were some tears. I was pissed.
It's been weird. With our change of plans, we packed everything into one backpack. I'm going to carry the backpack so that Taylor doesn't have to carry anything. And then just keep your poles and we should be good.
Yeah.
We'll make it. We're fed. We're energized. The next stop is Everest Base Camp.
Finally.
7 days, people. The video has officially gotten really panty and out of breathy, but the documentation must go on. We're probably about an hour out.
Let's hope.
And these views, even though it's not blue sky anymore, the views of the glaciers, we just heard an avalanche. I mean, this is the craziest thing you could ever do.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And it is fairly covered in dirt, so you can't really tell, but this is the entire ice fall, and it has just carved out this entire valley. That is amazing.
Oh, this is not for anybody. Not for just anybody.
Not for anybody.
Just anybody.
We are steps away, Taylor.
Oh, I just saw the sun.
Steps away. All right. We're Everest Base Camp official. Bump it. Oh, I'm so proud of you.
Almost died along the way, but I'm here.
It is cold, it is windy, it is crazy, and it is entirely worth it.
I don't know whether to like cry, puke, scream. So many emotions like running through my head that we're just finally here.
Is this your life's greatest achievement?
Oh, absolutely.
That's so rude. I was gonna say you're my life's greatest achievement.
Yeah, right.
Bye. We will never see you again. I'm very proud.
I'm proud of you too. That is not easy. We got to the top of Everest Base Camp and we were like, yeah, we're never doing that again. And the lady next to us is like, oh, this is my second time. And Braden and I are like, nope.
Not only, I mean, it was hard, but also there are so many treks in Nepal. I don't know why you would do the same exact one. I mean, this is amazing, but if we come back, we're doing a different one.
Yeah, yeah.
But we have now seen the highest mountain in the world, and that's really why we did this trek, and we did it.
We did it. Side note, apologies for my negative attitude earlier. I really wanted to give up and go home. Not home, but like back to Lukla. But I made it. It just took a lot of effort and a lot of mental encouragement from myself.
For me personally, this hasn't been an elevation game, it's been a temperature game. It is crazy cold up here, and it's really interesting to see as you hike up with people and you keep seeing them day by day. It is so different for each person. Some people are affected by the cold, some are affected by the elevation, others have a really hard time with the wind. None of us can sleep.
We're all sick of eating the same meals, so everyone is kind of fighting their own battle while trying to get there.
But you're in it together.
We're in it together. We've heard some hilarious comments of people just in absolute misery, and Braden and I are like,
been there.
But we're so happy we did this, and looking forward to a shower someday. Am I right?
Someday.